Is adult life really as miserable as people make it out to be? Everyone on Reddit once they have reached 18 makes it seem that living the adult life is awful. That we are all dirt poor, living paycheck to paycheck, working every day of your life, never having time for hobbies, being more aware of the shit world around us. That's the pattern I see around me online and even in the people I interact with around me. I'm 19, so I have been thinking about this for a while. I enjoy life, I am having a fun time at university, but what about after? Is life really this bad? Edit. Wow. Thank you for the overwhelming response. I will try and reply to as many as I can, and thanks for the varied and different takes. When you are dirt poor, live paycheck to paycheck, work every single day of your life and work takes all your energy, so you have no social life and no time for hobbies, and you constantly consume negative media, life can be pretty miserable. There is an adjustment period when you first start having to live on your own. Kids that grew up with a good home life had it pretty easy. What we think are major problems quickly get reevaluated as you come to grips with what adulthood is actually about. If you find the right career though, things get steadily better. Middle age is pretty good, it has the right mix of healthy time and flexible spending to enjoy yourself. No. I'm 49, have 2 healthy kids and a gorgeous wife who I've been married to for 28 years. We have saved up our money, cut costs, driven older cars, etc. And though things are tight at times, we can afford to send our kids to a private school. To me, my life is worth living because I get to take care of a family. No, I'm around 30. There have been many ups and downs. Many miserable times, but also many amazing times. I got married young to a good partner, and I can say that has definitely made the tough times more bearable. I've also found the same with long-term friendships. Work is tough, but I'm fortunate that I have a reasonably well-paying career. If you're young and want good outcomes, I'd suggest picking a career path you can live with that pays well, and then work hard to make it a reality. Focus on introspection and self-improvement. And try to be a good friend and partner to anyone you're involved with romantically or otherwise. It really depends on where you are in your circumstances. I think a lot of people are miserable because they've spent their whole lives being taught that there are only 1 or 2 paths to happiness in life. And the way certain societies are set up, it's actually true to an extent. If you don't keep your head down and follow the limited paths available to you, life can be very difficult. But if you have the means to live authentically, which very few people do, life can be very fulfilling. I think it's great. In part because I tend to avoid people who say such negative things. Life is exactly what you make it. If you decide to be happy, you'll make an effort to maintain that happy. I remember my high school English teacher told us, "Children, I promise you things will get better from here. It may seem like this is the most difficult time of your life, but you will get out of this phase and move up the ladder of success after school." The biggest lie I ever heard in my life. Personally, yes. Also, you're still at an age where life isn't too different from the one you grew up with. School, meeting new people, friends, fun-ish. Depending on how you're funding your college, you may or may not have to work yet. You're still probably on your parents' insurance. Parents may or may not be helping you pay for some of your expenses, etc. Someday you're gonna start to have to pay back those student loans. There comes an age where your parents' insurance is no longer an option, which means having to look for a job who gives it. There's bills, not making enough money to pay said bills, you work longer hours, you start seeing the same people, co-workers, daily. You may or may not like them, etc., but most importantly, the people you know now will eventually drift away and it'll just be a memory. You'll be stuck hanging out with the same 1 or 2 ppl. Edit. After reading some replies, there's one that keeps coming up. You make your own decisions, but you also face the consequences, implying, and some saying it, if you make good decisions you'll be good, but in my opinion, that's now how life nowadays works. You could do everything right and still be in a 20 feet deep hole. One example is a trip to the You could literally have been good all your life, saved up, lived within your means, being financially responsible, and that one visit could still leave you in bankruptcy. Same issue with many medical-related issues. Point is, nowadays, bad thing doesn't happen to good people, doesn't exist. It may be harder to socialize and maintain friendships as people build families, and sometimes it can be hard to pay bills, but the people who you're referring to are cynical. I refuse to be cynical no matter how hard life gets. Stay away from miserable people like that and you'll have a better shot at happiness. Pros and cons. You get to make all your own decisions but have to deal with the consequences of those decisions. It's not miserable, just redundant. Having goals and being productive goes a long way in finding inner peace. If you don't have a job that pays well, which is the case for most people, yes. The people complaining about life on Reddit are not representative of the majority of the population. They are people who have stuff to complain about. People with nothing to complain about are not as vocal online because they are outliving life. Hence you would only hear complaints. Nobody posts to Reddit, "My life is great and I have no complaints," because that is not engaging content. It is miserable at times. Here's the thing. You control your own destiny to a large extent. If you make good informed choices, you'll often get a good result. It's worse. Work is a nightmare, so don't put it in the center of your life and you'll be okay. It do be kinda fucked until you find footing properly. Some people never find a good footing though, and then is just misery Groundhog Day for most of your life. I'm really happy being an adult. When I think of other great times in my life, I often go to my mid-20s, also adulthood. I was a pretty happy teen, but do not miss it one bit. People aren't complaining about adulthood so much as they complain about their life as an adult. You can make choices to set yourself up for happiness and success. It has its challenges, but the pros of adulthood vastly outweigh the cons. No matter how awful being an adult may be, nothing compares to the misery of being a child with absolutely no power at the mercy of adults who may or may not act in your best interest. I found adulthood to be a massive improvement. I'm sure it depends on your job. If you can make enough money without constantly working, I think it can be nice. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and/or working multiple jobs with no time to do anything else, that would be draining and fast. I am fortunate enough that I have a career I enjoy b. is 40-hour weeks and c. allows me fun money past necessities. I prefer adulthood to say, college. I'm less stressed. I have more free time. I worked non-stop in college between assignments I didn't understand to working part-time. And I have money to buy the odd toy, like gaming consoles. I recognize I live a good life and not all adults do. Reddit does become an echo chamber at times. Plus, you won't see as many posts about, "Look how awesome it is to be me, an adult," because can you imagine how downvoted that would be? Also, like I said, due to many different circumstances, debt, family obligations, etc., there are a lot of people who do live in those challenging circumstances. Minimum wage isn't high enough. Living costs are constantly increasing in cities, and it's easy to end up surviving rather than thriving through no real fault of the person.